Good morning, mayors. Try that again. I know it's a little bit early. Good morning, mayors. Man, fantastic to see you here this morning. Let me ask you a question. Are you enjoying the conference so far? Well, good, because we're not doing this again until next year. So hopefully that's the case. Listen, I want to welcome you to this morning's breakfast. And this is always a fantastic opportunity for us to welcome and celebrate and honor leadership in the arts. And also, we're going to do something a little bit unique this morning. We're also going to have a little bit of an introduction to esports, which I think you'll find really, really interesting. And although you might be thinking, well, that's kind of an odd pairing, we're actually going to show you a little bit later this morning just how these two actually go together with some really interesting speakers who've seen this happen in their cities. So first, I'd like to thank our fantastic partner for many, many years, the Americans for the Arts, for sponsoring this morning's breakfast. Why don't we give them a big round of applause, if you would, please? We worked together over the past number of years. I think we were just talking backstage, maybe 25 or 30 years. And we are certainly grateful for their continued support, and in this case, their continued friendship. But before we begin the awards this morning, I would like to call upon one of our great leaders in this organization, a past president, Burnsville Mayor Elizabeth Kautz, who's going to introduce a special guest. How about a round of applause for Mayor Elizabeth Kautz?
Thank you, President Barnett. Good morning. Yay! It's a wonderful morning. So, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing and protecting women's constitutional right to vote. August 26, 2020 is the official date for celebration. Last June, the U.S. Conference of Mayors passed a resolution in support of the celebration and to celebrate the centennial of women's suffrage. This morning, it is my pleasure that we have Kelsey Millay, who is the Director of State Programs and Media for the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission, who is here today to share ways mayors can celebrate the centennial of the passage and ratification of the 19th Amendment of the Constitution. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, when we are all in this together, we are better. And more women at the table brings better results.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Kelsey Millay, and I am the Director of State Programs for the Women's Suffrage Centennial Commission. This federal commission, the WSCC, was created by Congress to coordinate the nationwide commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment and women's constitutional right to vote. Led by a bipartisan group of women leaders, the WSCC is here to support your efforts to commemorate this historic moment in 2020. Suffragists began their organized fight in 1848 when they demanded the right to vote during the first Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York. For the next 72 years, women leaders lobbied, marched, picketed, and protested for the right to the ballot. Congress finally passed the 19th Amendment in June 1919, and the necessary 36 states had ratified the amendment by August 26, 1920. Today, more than 68 million women vote in elections because of the women and men who waged and won the fight for the vote. The WSCC has many exciting plans ahead, and I hope you will check our website, womensvote100.org, to learn about the many resources we can provide to help you commemorate the centennial in your city. The number one thing I want to share with you all today is the WSCC's campaign to ensure that the centennial is acknowledged and celebrated in communities across the country on August 26th this year. Our Forward into Light campaign will ensure that buildings and landmarks across the country, from state capitals to skyscrapers to bridges to city halls, are lit up in the suffrage colors, purple and gold, on August 26th. Any mayor who contacts the WSCC and commits to joining the Forward into Light campaign will also receive a designation naming their city an official suffrage centennial city. You can find more information at womensvote100.org or by contacting us by email at light@womensvote100.org. That's LIGHT at womensvote100.org. Passage of the 19th Amendment was not the end of the story for voting rights equality, but it was a huge moment of victory, expanding the franchise to millions of people and furthering the promise of American democracy. We look forward to commemorating this occasion with you all in 2020. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kelsey. As she mentioned, we'll soon be planning our celebration this year as a conference, and that will be that entire effort led, by, of course, by Mayor Couts, Mayor Whaley, and Mayor Sheevey. So stay tuned for some more information like that. So I know, and I don't know how many of you out there were as well, but I know I left the Capitol Hilton Bar around 2 a.m. last night, and this man was still there. He has boundless energy, and he's led our organization for many years. Please join me in welcoming our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochran, to provide a few remarks this morning about our special breakfast. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Cochran.
Good morning, everyone. We are in the auspices of the TAPES Committee, Tourism, Arts, Parks, Entertainment, and Sports. We used to call it the APES Committee, but Mayor Manny Diaz said we got to put tourism in there. So I just wanted to say that we really appreciate Reno Mayor Hillary Sheevey for her leadership in this committee, and it's really become not just an arts committee, but it's become an economic and cultural and social stronghold for this organization. Let's talk about tourism and what it means. A person visiting Arlington, Texas, or New York City from Japan spends $6. If I go to Arlington, I spend $1. So international tourism is very, very important. And that's why we continue to emphasize what tourism really means to cities throughout the United States. Parks. You know, Mayor Victor Ashe used to say, Yellowstone is wonderful, but the most important park is the one in your neighborhood, the one that your child or your grandchild can go and see in the neighborhood. And so we have incredible parks in Rochester Hills, Innovation Hills Park, that Mayor Barnett took us to see when we went to Rochester Hills earlier. And then we come to entertainment, and we remember when Mrs. Couts from Burnsville, Minnesota, came to our MICD, Mayor's Institute of City Design, and talked about a performing arts center that she wanted in Burnsville, in the shadow of Minneapolis. And she fought for it, and she got it. And when she ran for re-election, it became an issue, and she prevailed and she won because she knows how important an arts center is in her city. And you also have the same situation in Carmel, Indiana, with Mayor Brainerd, who brings the arts as an important part of his city, and he has this incredible museum there with this, our standard with George Gershwin and others, music museum there installed in top of that. And we saw that when we went to Indianapolis. And then we come to sports. And we all know what the Georgia Bulldogs are. And thank you. But we all know what the New York Yankees, but we also are learning about esports. And Mayor Williams is here from Arlington, and you know, we went to Arlington and we saw what's going on with esports. I mean, thousands of young kids are playing these games, and people are watching them, right? And we have this young man who was 13 years old, right? 16, but he won $3 million. Thank you, Mayor. So, you know, the Conference of Mayors, we are very much involved with play ball. We're very much involved with issues around, you know, the minor leagues, but also prevailing in this country right now is esports. And so we stay on the front, we stay on the edge, and we're absolutely on top of all of these things. So, and then I come back to arts, and the strongest partner, the strongest coalition we have is the American for the Arts. And we celebrate today these elected officials who have led the way. And there's nobody that I revere more and love to work with more is American for the Arts. And so with us today is Bob Lynch, and I'm so happy to bring him to the stage to offer some comments about where we are and where we're going, because really, you know, these issues, tourism, arts, parks, entertainment, and sports, you know, how do you keep them on the farm when they have been to a city and vibrant as we find in Arlington, Texas, in New York City, Chicago? Very, very important. So with that, I'd like to bring up Robert Lynch, who is the president of the American for the Arts, to discuss the coalition and where we're going on these issues. Thank you very much.
I love working with Tom and following Tom. I thank Tom, and I thank the entire Conference of Mayors for its incomparable leadership in the arts, and I thank Tom personally for his unwavering support to bring the arts to the forefront in public policy matters at local, state, and federal levels. Whether it is in the city or out by the farms, the arts are critical to the advancement of community in our country. I also want to thank Mayor Brian Barnett for his national leadership here at the Conference of Mayors, and Mayor Hillary Sheevy for her passionate leadership in chairing the Tapes Committee, and of course, for introducing mayors to the wonders of Burning Man. 50 years ago, I was still recovering from Woodstock, so I haven't quite made it out to Burning Man yet. I hear there's more clothing there than we had, but if you can believe it, though, today marks our 24th year of proudly co-presenting the annual Public Leadership in the Arts Awards with the United States Conference of Mayors. 24 years. Awards are presented to local, state, and federal elected leaders who have helped to advance the arts in our country, as well as citizen artists who have helped to advance the public good in your communities. And before we begin the awards program, I'd like to give you a quick update, as I have in the past, on the latest research and tools that you can use back home, as well as a legislative update of where we stand today. Tom talked about those various mayors who were in battles to save or even introduce the arts in their communities, and that's the ongoing story, but we have some wins to celebrate. I'm very pleased to say that public funding for the arts at the local, state, and even federal level have all gone up this year. Up. That's not... Last year, we were facing an OMB budget once again for the third year in a row, attempting to terminate the federal cultural agencies, such as the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities. Terminate. Thanks to your help, not only were these agencies saved, all the money back, but a bipartisan Congress increased the fiscal year 2020 budget for both agencies by $7 million, bringing them up to $162 million each this year. 3 years in a row increases, and a really significant one this year. And that's because of your help It's because of arts advocacy, people like Ann Graham from Texans for the Arts, who is here, or Anne Marie Miller from Art Pride, New Jersey, and my own team, Nina Oslu, and the team of advocates that we have here. So you, mayors, and those advocates made this happen, and it is greatly appreciated by us and all of the people of America. Thank you. So much of that has to do with the excellent stewardship and programs that are administered by these federal cultural agencies under the leadership of the chairs, Marianne Carter and John Peedy. And some of their staff are here with us this morning, and I can tell you that they fiercely protect programs like the Mayor's Institute on City Design and direct arts grants to your cities and to your local arts agencies. In the past, many of you have told us that you've come to rely on Americans for the Arts for our economic impact data and our stories on how the arts transform communities and generate over $800 billion in impact in our nation's economy. Bigger than tourism, bigger than many other aspects of our society that you'd think would be larger than the arts. So it's a powerful economy, the arts economy. I'm pleased to share with you today, though, a large body of research that we have made fully accessible on our website at Americans for the Arts. It's called the Social Impact Explorer, and you have these reminder tools, these little pinwheels, on your tables there. It is simply something that you can Google, Social Impact Explorer, and you'll quickly find this new educational tool. It shows on this pinwheel how highly interactive this tool actually is. It literally draws together thousands of data points, stories, videos, images, and research citations on how the arts can and have been integrated as creative policy solutions into 26 distinct areas of community life in your cities. You take a look at the pinwheel and these different areas, and it shows how the arts are having that impact. For example, if you're looking for an example of arts therapy programs that assist veterans recovering from post-traumatic stress disorder, then you can spin the pinwheel to military to get real examples of what cities across the country are doing, and download the fact sheets on the topic for discussion with other members of City Council or the community. If you want the latest research on how urban neighborhoods that have been designated as arts districts are now economically and visually revitalizing previously blighted downtown areas and infusing them with the energy of the arts and through the arts, then spin our pinwheel to something that's very important to you, to the word infrastructure, and see what's going on in those areas. I'd like to show a very brief video to bring this Social Impact Explorer tool to life. So let's take a look at that video.
Communities are stronger when people understand and value one another. When building community, the arts are an essential way to bring everyone together. The arts can transform our communities. They create jobs, create stronger community ties, and improve our health and wellness. And the arts help ensure everyone in the community has a voice. 86% of arts participants are more involved in local issues and neighborhood projects. People love where they live, and having lots of arts around enhances civic pride and generates economic value. Bringing the arts into a community increases property value, decreases crime, and improves children's test scores. Community art projects can make neighbors feel more connected to each other and to their neighborhood, encouraging people to stay and help their neighborhood grow. In Camden, New Jersey, the Cooper's Ferry Partnership and the City of Camden created a program called Connect the Lots. This program brings arts and culture to the city's parks and vacant lots. Through salsa dancing, outdoor movie nights, and even the circus, Connect the Lots reaches 2/3 of Camden's residents. That's more than 10,000 people each year who are coming together as a community. The arts bring people together and strengthen communities. Take the Arts and Social Impact Explorer for a spin to see the different ways the arts make your community stronger.
So each video and each little piece of the color wheel has thousands of data points that are backing it up and ready for you to use. And we want you and your teams to use the Arts and Social Impact Explorer often and effectively, and in ways that surprise and open opportunities to advance the arts and arts education while creatively addressing community challenges. And give us back your feedback and your examples so we can populate the wheel with the good work that you're all doing. I've seen firsthand how the arts can transform cities because I've had the pleasure to visit dozens of your communities this past year and thousands of them over my last 35 years in this role. Arts and other aspects of community is something that I see firsthand, like neighborhood revitalization in Baltimore, or arts and diversity, equity, inclusion in Detroit, or tourism in New Bedford, my home state of Massachusetts, public art in Des Moines, or arts and healing and the military in partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts. We've seen good work here in the DC region and dozens of other cities all across the country. So that is the latest information on what we're up to, and this is a good segue, I think, to let us officially begin the Public Leadership in the Arts Awards portion of this morning's Mayor's Arts Breakfast. As in previous years, we have an impressive group of public leaders receiving awards today. I've had a chance to talk to them and to visit their cities, actually, over the years. And please know that we will be awarding our Citizen Artist Awards this year in June at your annual meeting in Austin, so stay tuned for that. My congratulations to all the awardees today. You'll find a program at your seats in this program has complete descriptions of what the awardees have done on each one of the awardees. But to kick things off, I'm pleased to present the winner of the 2020 Public Leadership in the Arts Award for State Arts Leadership. And that goes to Washington State Governor Jay Inslee. Now, while Governor Inslee is unable to be here in person this morning to accept the award, he is quite thrilled to be honored, and we're happy to share a clip of a video that he did, a video of acceptance in just a moment. But first, I wanted to share a few highlights of his arts leadership in Washington State and personally in his personal life. During his long career in politics, Governor Inslee has been very clear about his love and respect for the arts, and specifically his support for the Washington State Arts Commission, and also for K-12 arts education. Governor Inslee values public funding of the arts and the role and impact that public investment in grants to artists and arts organizations have on communities throughout the state. This is especially true when considering the many smaller and more rural communities across the wide expanse of Washington. Governor Inslee was an early supporter of a creative district certification program that he signed into law in 2018, and that program leverages arts and culture to generate economic activity in local communities. The governor also brought his arts leadership to the national level by facilitating sessions on arts and culture at the National Governors Association. From the arts, they have a ways to go to catch up with the mayors, but we're working on that. But from the arts as an economic engine to understanding the importance of arts education as integral to the development of 21st century skills and to creative healing for our returning military and veterans, Governor Inslee has inspired many governors to also be strong champions of arts and culture. In fact, at the 2018 meeting of the National Governors Association, Governor Inslee unveiled a recent painting that he made himself. He's a painter, and this one was titled Bear in the Woods. And he announced that it was going to be auctioned off to support arts education programming, and he chose that money to go and that program to be supported at Americans for the Arts, which pleased me a lot. He stated, arts help teach our children to think creatively and critically about our communities and the ways that we shape them. I'm honored to support arts education for students all across the country, is what he said. Then last year, Governor Inslee paired up with former Washington State House Speaker and Tacoma Mayor Brian Ebersole for a month-long art show entitled Nonpartisan, with art highlighted in the center of nonpartisan, at a gallery in downtown Tacoma, in which they each showcased 15 works of art. This is a governor who always has his paintbrush and his support for the arts at the ready. So please join me in congratulating Washington Governor Jay Inslee in receiving the 2020 Americans for the Arts and United States Conference of Mayors National Award for State Arts Leadership. And now let's hear from the governor himself. Please play that video. And I thank you all.
Sorry I can't be with you in person to be in the company of the 23 distinguished governors who've received this award since 1997. This is quite an honor. And as the brother of a retired art teacher and the brother-in-law of a retired art teacher and the son of an amateur artist, and I smear paint around once in a while myself, I really appreciate this recognition. I want to thank Karen Hannon and the Washington State Arts Commission for nominating me. Karen and her team run a small but a really effective department. And among the many programs the Commission oversees is a new Certified Creative Districts program that I signed into law in 2018. It helps local communities leverage arts and heritage assets to promote economic development. And each brings a unique character and vision to grow their creative economy. You know, one thing that's not noted enough is that Washington's creative economy earned $28.9 billion as an industry in 2018, and we want to see that continue. We know the arts played a major role in all sectors of our society. Our young people need all media arts, music, theater, dance, and visual arts to receive a complete and balanced education. And I'm proud that they are part of Washington's core educational standards. Yeah, I take real pride in talking to people when I run into them that were students of my brother, who was an art teacher, and I hear repeated stories about how he kept them in school, because some kids learn a little differently, and we know the arts does so much for education. So the integration for preschoolers helps to jumpstart their overall education, improving communication, vocabulary, and memorization. For our transitioning military and veterans, our State Arts Commission and Department of Veterans Affairs are working with the National Endowment for the Arts, AFTA, and the Intrepid Spirit Center at Joint Base Lewis McChord to expand the NEA Creative Forces Healing Arts Network into community-based arts programs. I'm very proud to be the governor of a state that recognizes how the arts can be a catalyst for so many sectors of our great state. So thank you to the Americans for the Arts and the United States Conference of Mayors for hosting this breakfast. Keep up the great work. Thanks again.
I just want to say that you, the mayors of our cities across this nation, are the greatest partners that the arts have. The arts thank you, and I thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you for your continued partnership with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. You know, this breakfast, as Tom Cochran mentioned, falls under our Tapes Committee. And although Mayor Sheevey isn't here, I certainly want to stop and pause and recognize her incredible leadership. She is a ball of energy. I know she's passionate about the arts. And I had a chance to visit Reno when we went to Burning Man this summer. And boy, she took us around her town, and it was just incredible to see the way she's infused arts and the celebration of arts into every corner of her community. And all of you will be able to visit Reno next year as the conference moves. Of course, this summer's summer meeting in Austin. Next summer is in Reno, so we'll be able to see Mayor Sheevey's work there next year. So we are now going to turn our attention to local leadership in the arts. And to present our first award, I'm going to again call on our past president and past honoree, Elizabeth Counts, to present the first award. Mayor Counts.
Thank you, Mr. President, mayors, and members. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you a wonderful city. The city of Napa, California, is most known for its vineyards and wine tasting. But Mayor Jill Teckel is helping Napa become a destination for cultural arts. With the Rail Arts District, Bottle Rock Music Festival, and the Napa Art Walk, Napa continues to be enriched by incorporating the arts in its community fabric. Mayor Tekel's newest development is the creation of the Napa Lighted Arts Festival, where the community's iconic architecture becomes the paintings in this unique lighted art walk. Using light and light technologies as an arts medium, the Napa Light Arts Festival is a celebration of creative arts, technology, and lights. Mayor Tekel is a trailblazer by supporting this innovative program that helps brighten the darkest days in Napa. She champions philosophy that public art programs can provide a multitude of benefits to a community. Please join me in congratulating Napa Mayor Jill Tekel as she receives the National Award for Local Arts Leadership for cities with a population less than 100,000. Mayor Tekel.
Thank you, and you noticed I gently gave it back to Elizabeth. We didn't want to risk the artwork that I am proudly going to take home. I'm honored and humbled to be here to get this award for my town. But I have to say that, and you heard from Tom this morning, you heard from Robert with Americans for the Arts, this program and the program of exposing mayors to the arts has really been transformational for me and for my community. It was a huge change in how I saw public art. And I remember when I was in Providence and there was water fire and they had these barges floating in the river and the community came together and it was so much fun, such good energy, and I went, I want that. I wanted the energy. It didn't work out for me to do barges in the river. My river's tidal. And we have spare the air days, so you just can't depend on when you might be able to build a fire. But I knew that I wanted something interactive, something fun, something connecting, something free for the community to enjoy. And so this year's our third year with the Lighted Art Festival. It is art that tells a story, so and some of it's interactive. You can go watch computers and touch the computer in a way and the colors will change on the lights on the building. Or they have music, and the music and the art is just very, tells a story again and makes the buildings come alive. So it's a walk-around event, so I figure that's recreational and I can get my steps on my Fitbit. It's interactive. We have a hot air balloon there. Who knew people wanted to turn on burners on hot air balloons as their art experience? Before we do the lighted arts, we do a historical tour of the buildings that are lit up. And I tell you, you'll never see your historical buildings the same way again after they've been part of an art experience. Certainly done amazing things with economic. We have the lantern parade that gets the kids involved. It's the second week in January. And so I invite you all to come. And if you look me up, I'll buy you a glass of wine. And I'm pleased to be honored. I'm actually just more pleased to have this amazing event and the amazing things that art does for my community. Thank you.
So again, congratulations to Mayor Tekel. We appreciate your leadership, and it's now my pleasure to present the next award to the mayor in a large city category. It feels like the Academy Awards here. Beaumont Mayor Becky Ames has consistently advocated for the arts community during her 12 years as mayor. As mayor, she has supported the funding, operations, and maintenance of such historical and cultural assets as the Julie Rogers Theater and the Art Museum of Southwest Texas, and of course, the Jefferson Theater. She's also allocated community development block grant funds to local theater programs for low and moderate income youth and adults. For these and many other reasons, we are honored with our partners at the Americans for the Arts to present the National Award for Local Arts Leaderships for cities with a population of 100,000 or more to Beaumont Mayor Becky Ames. Let's give it up for Mayor Ames.
Well, good morning. It is another great day in Beaumont, Texas today. And those of you that don't know me know that I say that at almost every event that I go to because I think it makes people understand what great things we have going on. Sometimes we're in our cities, we're our own worst enemies because we continuously think about what happens in other cities. What I've found, and especially through the arts, is if I go to an event in our city, and we've got several new events at our new event center, we put in a lake, and it's just a constant. And if I feel like I'm in one of your cities visiting, then I know that it's great for our city. And so much of that revolves around the arts. We've been talking about inclusiveness through this whole conference, and I don't think there's anything that brings people together more than the arts. If you really think about it, young people, as we talk with their education, older people enjoy it. One of my favorite things that we've done, and actually I have to give credit for this to one of our council members that's not on our council anymore, is the creation of local artists on our electrical boxes. We have 200 electrical boxes in Beaumont, and that's a lot. And in the first week, over 100 of them were contracted by local artists to paint them, and they're all different. They're all done now, they're all accounted for, so that took us to murals throughout our central business district. And in addition to that, our park benches. We have local artists that have painted our park benches, and the city actually pays for their supplies, and we put the clear coat over it so they last a long time. But I think the historical Beaumont, 1838, we're 180 years old last year, it makes a huge difference too, because we have these beautiful venues like the Julie Rogers Theater that was mentioned earlier, and the Art Museum of Southeast Texas, along with the Jefferson Theater that was an old movie theater, and every Friday night we show an old movie there, and it's a date night, and it's just a fun time for everyone. So we have a lot going on in Beaumont. I am so excited. I'm passionate about the arts. I think as mayors we have the unique opportunity to bring people together through arts, whether it be music, whether it be paintings, whatever. Almost everything can be art if you really think about it. So I would like to thank all of you. I'd like to thank Tom Cochran, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, our CEO, along with Bob Lynch with Americans for the Arts, for extending this award. And great thoughts go out to my friend Hillary Sheave, who's been talked about a lot today, and she got me very involved in the tapes committee, and that has led to me standing here before you today. So I'm very humbled and excited. It's another great day in Beaumont. I can't wait to get back and share this with everyone, and I appreciate y'all sharing this with me this morning at this breakfast. Thanks so much.
Steal that. It's a great day in Beaumont, Texas. It's an award-winning day in Beaumont, Texas. Congratulations, Mayor Ames. And I love seeing a mayor. I think we all have that pride, and you can see it when she speaks about her community. That's fantastic. So congratulations really to all the award winners today. We want to continue to move on through our breakfast today. And normally at this time of year, we honor an artist, but we are saving that this time to our June meeting in Austin, where we plan on honoring a very very special artist, and you won't certainly want to miss who that is. We'll leave that just as Mayor Adler did yesterday with an air of mystery. We're now going to transition to the other portion of today's breakfast that I'm really excited about. And in order to help make that transition, we have with us Andy Brick, the principal conductor and music director of Game On. Now, this is really interesting because his work combines scenes from video games with symphonic music. Now, Andy just recently performed with the National Symphony Orchestra to a sellout crowd at the Kennedy Center right down the street here in D.C. And while we couldn't get the symphonic orchestra with us this morning, even though we probably have enough room on the stage, Andy has put together some videos and some music to show us how video games and music go together. So Andy, it's a real pleasure to have you with us here today, and we look forward to this presentation. I hear that you're a University of Michigan graduate, which makes you a favorite already. And at this point, let's welcome Mr. Brick.
Hi, so my name is Andy Brick. I'm the principal conductor and music director of Game On. We're a symphonic video game music concert tour. And if you're wondering what a symphonic video game music concert is, you're looking at it right now. 2 weeks ago, I was here in Washington, D.C., conducting the National Symphony for my second time. This time it was at the Kennedy Center, and we sold out. The average age of our audience was about 24. So what I've done is I've figured out a way to bridge the world of the arts with video games and bring it to the populace, and bring it to a young populace. And I do it through symphonic music. This morning, what I'm hoping to do is give you all a taste of how I did that and try to give you some insight into how you guys can do this and bring it into your communities. So I've composed, orchestrated, or conducted music for games like The Sims, Civilization V, Civilization VI, Final Fantasy, Halo, films, Little Mermaid 2, Lady and the Tramp 2, and others. I'm also a resident conductor of the Philharmonic of Prague. But in order to understand how I do this and tell you guys how I build this bridge, it's really important to understand what broke the bridge. So I've got a video here of these guys called the Two Cellists. And it sort of demonstrates the problem. And as they're playing, I'm going to read you a quote from a 2003 New York Times article. As American orchestras lick their wounds or die of them, the blame falls on disappearing audiences. Maybe that's a symptom, not a cause. The real cause is that the model on which American orchestras are built no longer works. As for disappearing audiences, no amount of managing will solve that one. Classical music has indulged the creation of a narcissistic program that repels the average committed listener in even our most sophisticated American cities. What these two guys do is they break the protocol of that narcissistic order and bring classical music to the populace. There's a little girl in red sitting in the middle of the audience right there, and she's bored. But watch what happens when these guys break protocol. First thing that happens is the white-haired wig guys freak out. And then a very, very special thing happens. Watch the girl. Right here. She starts bopping her head, and then she raises her arms. Yeah, that's a really special and very significant moment, because what just happened is these two guys now have captured that audience. They've captured the 14-year-old and that, yeah. And if we can figure out how to do that regularly, then we can reinvigorate a piece of our cultural heritage that was at risk of dying. To do this, you have to build this bridge, which means you have to do your homework. You have to educate yourself about these video games. And if we could see video 4, please, thank you. you have to make sure that your content is really relevant. So we spent 3 years looking at over 100 different video games to find out which ones would attract an audience into a concert hall. And up here, you see the games. Please don't write them down because this is my content and I don't want it going out. But it took us 3 years to build this program, and you have to surround yourself by the right people. So I've got an assistant producer who has a tattoo of a video game logo on his arm. And that guy knows, and if you surround yourself by these younger people, then you can build these institutions. Our games represent 250 million registered game players. If there are 250 mayors at this conference, that's 1 million gamers per mayor. It's not too hard to fill a 1,500 person concert hall if you've got 1 million captive audience members. So that's the first thing, is know your content. Then what you need to do is you need to make the audience bind to the orchestra, and you do this by creating rock stars out of the members of the orchestra. Excuse me. So, in order to bind your audience to the orchestra, it's really important that you free them of protocol. I do it by telling them that they can cheer and yell. As you're hearing, listen. So it's not so often that you hear that kind of screaming at an orchestra concert. This particular concert was at a place called the Wolf Trap. We had 7,000 people in attendance to watch a symphony orchestra all screaming. Once you release them of the protocol, when to clap, it doesn't matter, clap when you want. Once you release them of that protocol, then you can get them to bind to the orchestra. And we do it by listening for the clapping and then focusing on an instrumentalist. There's the clapping, and our video director immediately cuts, right here, to the violinist. So now the audience is associating their clapping and their excitement with the player. We've just made a rock star out of that classical violinist. Similarly, here we've got this sweeping epic passage with its big trumpet fanfare in the middle of it, and our video director, right after the cheering, cuts to the trumpet player. If you do this, you can get your audience to invest in the orchestra, and that's critical. And one thing, and this is a little self-indulgent, but one thing our video director likes to do is in the heroic moments, he likes to turn me into a hero. It's not often that you go to see a symphony and get to see this side of the conductor. So what he'll do is, we've got a center shot here of the video game, and it's at the very heroic climactic passage where the protagonist of the game is up on their horse and they're going to ride into the sunset, and he has me doing the same exact thing. What it does is it turns me into a hero of the orchestra, and it binds that audience member to me as a hero. And that's critical because then they're going to come back. Once you've created rock stars out of these musicians, then you can cultivate that audience and you can begin to educate them about the culture, in this case, the music. In this next video that we're going to see, it starts with a piece of music by Gustav Holst. Anybody here know Gustav Holst's music? He was a composer, thank you. He was a composer at the beginning of the 20th century. This piece is something that he wrote in, I think it was 1917. And here we've got it in its traditional form, and you can see we've got the white-haired wig folks from before, which would be the typical audience for this. But that 14-year-old is going to leave unless you reimagine the piece. And we spend a lot of time reimagining it like this. This is a passage from one of the games I worked on, Civilization V, where we took that Holst piece and we rewrote it. And what's really great about this is now that you've got buy-in from the audience, you can start to introduce other cultural elements. So here we've got the Ming Dynasty invasion. We can introduce things like Michelangelo's art, because these kids are playing it. They're role-playing the Ming Dynasty. They're role-playing being Michelangelo. They're role-playing being Leonardo da Vinci. What happens is you get them to own that video game and the content of that media. And when you do that, you're able to enhance the cultural perspective of your entire community. And that's what we've done at Game On. So I've suggested here that Game On and the work that I've been doing has allowed us to figure out a way to successfully bring the next generation audience into your communities. We do it by, one, being committed to the audience. We're not narcissistic. We look for what their music is in their medium, and their medium are video games. We find the most current and relevant content through a lot of research. We release the audience of the pretense and protocol that is sometimes associated with the symphony orchestra, and we bind the audience to their orchestra. It allows us to create this art form that will help to enhance these really successful artistic institutions. And the thing that I think a lot of you will like is we're profitable. We don't cost the orchestra money, we make them money. And what that means is that we don't require a funneling of government funds or private donations. We walk into the house, we sell out the Gewandhaus in Leipzig, Germany. We sell out the Kennedy Center. We sell out the 7,000-person Wolf Trap. We do this across the country into other countries in the world. When you do that, the funding that the government is giving towards the artistic institutions can then go to determine how those institutions exist, not just to provide the programming, but to actually cultivate and help them build. So I want to thank you all very much for letting me speak to you guys today, and thanks to the U.S. Conference of Mayors as well. If anybody has any questions, I'll be around for a little while today and be happy to speak with anybody. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Andy. How many of you have, that was your first experience with anything remotely close to that? Round of applause. That's pretty cool, eh? Very interesting. I now want to kind of keep us transitioning into another really exciting area, and believe it or not, this is something I think many mayors are really learning a little bit more about, kind of on the go, and I'm one of those mayors. It's really the area of esports. Now, I know that some of you know what this is. Your kids play it, and you may have read something about it. I was kind of like brought into this world when one of my directors, the director of my Department of Public Services, came in, Alan Schneck, who's here, and announced last year that his son Jonathan was awarded a college scholarship to play esports. And I wanted to understand, how does that even work? What does that mean? And so I started to learn a little bit more about what esports is. Let me give you a couple quick facts. Esports are multiple player video games played competitively for spectators. It is the fastest growing sport in the world. Its viewership exceeds the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, and soon the NFL. It's expected to reach $2 billion in revenue in 2020. You paying attention yet? 1 in 5 people between the ages of 35 and 54 have viewed a live stream esports event, and its audiences on YouTube and Twitch are higher and larger than HBO, Netflix, and ESPN combined. And you could go on and on. The growth of esports is phenomenal. So all of us need to be prepared for this growth and to look for ways to create opportunities for its growth in our own communities. So I'm happy to announce today the creation of the Mayor's Esports Network. And now this is the result of over a year of discussions that have taken place at meetings of the TAPES Committee and our Mayor's Professional Sports Alliance. Now the Mayor's Esports Network is part of my agenda to assist mayors to be on the cutting edge, marrying innovation and sports taking place in our cities. Our esports network will provide direct information and hands-on assistance to mayors and their offices on ways to develop and promote esports in your city. Now, we'll be on the lookout, and we'll get more information on this new activity as we get more information out there. But if you're looking for immediate information, there is a breakout session that will follow this breakfast immediately after we leave this room. So if you can get more information there even this morning. Now, to help us better understand what esports is and how cities can get engaged, we do have a few experts on the stage with us today. The first is Jason Wu. Now, Jason is the Chief Strategy Officer of Next Generation Esports, and he's one of the stars in the esports world. Jason's here to give us a better idea as to what esports is in the present and what it's going to look like in the very, very near future. Jason, we appreciate you being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jason Wu.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. Thank you to the Conference of Mayors, and thank you all for welcoming me here to come speak to you about something that has grown not only globally but also regionally in size and scope. As Mayor Barnett mentioned, my name is Jason Wu. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Next Generation Esports. Next Generation Esports is the world's largest esports publisher. We work directly with the video game manufacturers to create live, competitive video game content. Instead of talking about it, I'd like to give you a brief glimpse into what we do and how we do it. If you wouldn't mind rolling the video, please.
I'm playing video games and seeing someone's dream come true. It's insane!
He just made history!
Is everyone here? Everyone cheering? I love what I do because of you.
Now, as you can see there, thank you. Esports is a phenomenon that's grown over the last decade, but until the last 5 years, we haven't actually seen its hypergrowth. For context, Mayor Barnett mentioned $2 billion of revenue projected to be seen globally in this year alone. The video game industry itself is over $24 billion. Now, if you actually compare that to other industries, and the fact that esports requires no physical location other than to watch from your phone, participate at home, it's no wonder that the growth has skyrocketed. In 2015, Next Generation Esports produced 315,000 minutes of produced content. Last year alone, we produced 7 billion of produced watch competitive content. That spans all regions. Anywhere there's an internet connection or a mobile cell device, you're able to watch. Not only are you able to watch, you're able to participate as well. Some of the things that you saw up there, our company actually does. We work directly with the video game manufacturers to create these live events. Now imagine, if you would, a place and time in which everybody in this audience or in those stadiums could be competing with one another. Doesn't sound like it's that remarkable, right? We've already arrived in that state. Mayor Barnett gave you a statistic about the National Football League, the NBA, Major League Baseball, et cetera. Total viewership in all platforms this past year dwarfed 14 billion hours watched globally. So what does this mean for you folks? How do you guys get involved? I've been so encouraged over the last year and a half of being involved with the U.S. Conference of Mayors and meeting many of you and asking, why is this important to my community and how do we actually become involved? What we've seen with esports, video games, and digital entertainment is that there's an entire groundswell of a generation and a generation of parents who are trying to support their children in their dreams. Now, playing video games is one thing, but what has been derived from esports has been this simple fact. An entire generation has been encouraged to think larger than themselves. To, yes, play video games, but also think about designing video games. To be interested in learning about software development, in graphic design, and storytelling. Much of what we do is we see ourselves as a movie studio. We will bring people together to compete in live competition
sometimes over money, sometimes over other accolades. And I think later on today, we're going to hear from one young man who was able to turn his life into a new reality by playing a single game, playing it well, and beating competitors from all over the world over a 10-week span for the opportunity to come to New York City in July of this past year to play for $3 million. In total, he roughly won $3.6 million playing this game. After talking to his parents, changed his life forever, I suppose, right? We see that also in our local colleges, our local high schools, in our local communities, that this is actually happening right now. Oftentimes I have these conversations with mayors that say, well, I don't have a gigantic stadium. I don't have the ability to build what Mayor Williams so greatly did in Arlington. How can we be involved? There is a multitude of ways for you to be involved. But what's most important is for you to recognize and realize esports as a community is actually happening today in your communities. There are people at home that are playing. There are people that are meeting regularly that are playing. There are local teachers that are encouraging their students to play together. It teaches you the same things that traditional sports have always taught you: teamwork, focus, hard work, and it's all derived from competition. Now, the way for us to get together and talk through this, obviously, as Mayor Barnett kind of mentioned previously, was this formation of the Mayor's Esports Network. And I'm honored to be able to help each and every one of you to think through how to impact your local communities. That's the first part. The second part is that it actually impacts your local economies. Not only does it actually impact your students and your young people in your local communities and encourages them to go and try to do more and receive advanced degrees or receive vocational training, but it also actually brings local economic development. We oftentimes will go to cities globally and bring an army, or like I like to call it, a circus of people, and hundreds of thousands of people will fly in from all over the world to come watch and watch competition. In New Jersey at the Prudential Center this past summer, we had a friendly exhibition between Europe and North America. 7,000 people filled the Prudential New Jersey Center from all over the world to come watch this. In fact, I didn't actually splice the video into this. We had kind of a fun event where we broke the world's largest wave, where the previous record was 12 minutes, but in that stadium, we actually had the wave running for about 23 minutes. Those sort of things, that community that's brought together, that Andy mentioned through music, is this culmination and groundswell of digital entertainment being accepted, video games also being accepted, but a way for communities to actually be involved and actually drive change in their communities. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to tell you a little bit more about it at the next seminar, and I will be around as long as I'm welcomed. But I'm thankful for the time, and thank you so much for listening to some of the things that we've been seeing in esports.
Thank you, Jason, for that. How many of you are learning a little bit more about esports this morning? This is certainly something that's taking the country and the world by storm. And we've heard from sort of an industry expert, but now we're going to hear from a mayor who's actually doing something tangibly with esports. Jeff Williams is the mayor of Arlington, Texas. He's a dear friend and really, not just in esports, he's a great leader in this conference. But what he's doing in esports is pretty incredible because Arlington has been recognized as one of the leaders nationally in esports. And we're going to hear from Mayor Williams as to why his city has invested time, treasure, and talent down this route and what it has meant for the city of Arlington. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, Mayor Jeff Williams.
Well, isn't it exciting times to be serving as a mayor? And mainly because we are at the beginning of a technology revolution that is providing us opportunities like never before. And of course, one of those opportunities is esports. But we need to be smart, we need to be bold, and we need to be ready for change. And yes, when I first heard about esports, I had to change because I was a father who had spent a lot of time telling my son to get off of the video games. There's not going to be any money in that. Well, I'm wrong. There's a lot of money in esports, and Jason shared that with you, but imagine the opportunity for our companies to be able to sell their products to our young people through sponsorships and advertisement at esports. That's what's happening, and the money is growing astronomically, and the games and participants are growing astronomically. It is amazing. In fact, just 2 days ago, MasterCard announced that they were expanding their sponsorship of the League of Legends. And then we heard from Logitech, we heard from Milk It. Yes, Milk It has a children's program actually in esports. So we're seeing it growing. Now let me share with you. We entered into this there and built an esports arena because we were unbelievably surprised about the demand that was there. And so we are in the middle of the country and just 10 minutes from DFW Airport, and you're seeing right here our esports stadium. And you notice the LED lights, you notice the AV boards. It is an audio-visual marvel. Surround sound, incredible screens, and yes, all the colors all change around the stage itself. And then it is exciting, and it is amazing even how the older people enjoy it when they come. But there's a camaraderie built and a real team building that is there, and yes, there is a lot of cheering going on for their esports teams that are there. This gives you a much better visual of what the esports arena looks like, and you can see here, they do have announcers that sit behind that, but they call them casters. And then you can see the video boards there beside it, and then, interestingly enough, you see that the lighting is not on there around the LED, particularly in that. And then it also sets up very well for other speaking events. And yes, my State of the City is held in there. And we have a lot of TED Talks and so forth that take place. It's very flexible space that can be used. And then outside of our esports stadium, we have what we call our gaming center. And we have state-of-the-art game stations so that our citizens can come and play. And of course, this is not just any gaming station. These are state-of-the-art, and we actually rent those out, and it is pretty phenomenal. And in fact, it's very exciting. And yes, we also are getting a lot of coverage on this because it is such a fast-growing industry. And then this is an interesting dynamic. One of our latest partners is the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is actually rewarding our high school students that are excelling academically with giving them free time on our game stations there. Isn't that a neat deal? And of course, they have a booth set up there recruiting for them in the Marine Corps. And then I want to tell you this too, our schools have formed leagues. And in fact, we have 16 high schools there that have all formed leagues that we organized and bring them together to actually compete. And yes, they're working towards being sanctioned. And as it turned out, the University of Texas at Arlington in 2017 was the national college champion of esports. And they currently have a degree in esports that is actually being offered there with it. Quite a growing industry. And then here's an example of the casters who really share what is going on there in the game itself. And then let me share this with you. This is an incredible opportunity to raise the image of your city and get the cool factor going off the charts. And isn't that important so that we can keep young talent and attract young talent to our city? But yes, there is money in it, but also there's tourism. And we know what tourism brings, OPM, other people's money coming to our city. Awesome thing there as we move forward. And then let me share with you why we got into it. And I've got to thank the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Tisch Global Institute for Sport at New York University. Because, first of all, the U.S. Conference of Mayors introduced us to New York University. They said, we want to do a project for you. Arlington is home to the Dallas Cowboys and AT&T Stadium. You have Six Flags amusement park there. You currently are building with the Tisches, Live by Lowe's hotels that are there. And then you also have the largest sports and entertainment complex in Texas, which is Texas Live, 200,000 square feet of entertainment. And then you're about to open up a state-of-the-art, next-generation Major League Baseball park for the Texas Rangers and Texas Live Phase 2. We also are home to the XFL Renegades and professional soccer. And so they said, let us do a term project for you. What would you like for us to tackle? Well, that was easy. What do we need to do next in sports? And of course, New York University came back after that semester and said, you guys need to go into esports. There is not another esports arena there anywhere in the country outside of Las Vegas and LA, and your area is very prime for being able to do it. And so they set us on a tremendous path for success, and very grateful for them, and it actually happened at a conference here, right here in Washington, D.C., when I first met New York University. So thank you, Tom Cochran and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And then I've got to share with you here in closing, we hosted the Esports Awards, which were the Oscars of esports that have been in London the last 2 years, and they came here to Arlington. And I want to share with you a little bit about that award ceremony.
Welcome to the Esports Awards 2019, live from Arlington, Texas.
Yeah. You show your real side when the day comes. Under the cover of the nighttime, you're trying to speak over the baseline, but I can't hear you, no, no, no. I can't hear you, no, no, no. Catch you slipping on the FaceTime. Every kiss that I could taste lies. I don't wanna hear you, no, no, no. I don't wanna hear you, no.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a great night. You guys excited in here?
I'm riding low, don't wanna know. Here goes again. I guess I always knew that you're everything you do. Don't know if it's true.
And the winner is
Little Jam,
Ryan Gaines,
Logan Dodson,
Lodi, Sexy King, Henry G, HyperX, it's Sam, it's Booga.
Y'all, this event, pretty amazing, wasn't it? This event went to 195 countries, 22,000 cities, 7 million people watching it on live stream. Amazing exposure, and they announced that they're coming here the next 2 years to Arlington. They're not going back to London. So we are excited about this. We hope that you will get excited about it and realize that right now our Parks and Recreation Department is working hard on creating new leagues throughout, and our corporations have already started leagues. Yes, L3 wants to challenge Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin wants to challenge Bell. What a game building. Stay tuned to a great industry, and yes, we as mayors have a chance to change America. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. You can tell his excitement, and I can guarantee you that Mayor Williams did not run or campaign on bringing an esports stadium to Arlington, but it's an example of a mayor pivoting and knowing what needs to happen and being on the cutting edge of innovation in order to improve quality of life for his residents. So thank you, Mayor Williams. We now have, just in closing, a very special treat as we end our morning breakfast. Kyle Giersdorf, otherwise known as Booga, which is a word I didn't think I'd say up here today. Booga in the gaming world is a worldwide phenomenon. Last year at the age of 16, Kyle won the Fortnite Solo World Championship, as was mentioned earlier. And if you think that's not cool, he also won $3 million. Just think what your 16-year-old would do if he had just won $3 million playing video games. He was also honored as the 2019 Esports Player of the Year. Now, Booga couldn't be with us here today, probably because he's got $3 million. But he very much wanted to send a video message, so let's play that message now.
Hey everyone, Kyle here, or as most of you know me as Booga, your Fortnite solo World Cup champion. This is an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to the nation's mayors, and I'm very excited to hear of the launch of the Mayors Esports Network, which I believe will grow tremendously and have so much support on the community and everyone else. Esports in the past year for me has been an absolute life changer in the most positive way possible. Before esports, I was just playing games as a hobby, and I just had enjoyment with them, playing them with my friends. But as soon as esports came around, I took a whole new approach to gaming, and I figured out that this is what I love to do. My parents' support throughout my entire esports career so far has been tremendously helpful. They've shown so much affection and love to what I'm doing, and it's just supported me in the best way possible, and it's pushed me to my limits and made me just want to succeed. I'm very excited to be working with you guys in the Mayors Esports Network, and I can't wait for this to grow to a community level where everyone can be accepted.
There you go. So we very much appreciate Kyle's message, Mayor Williams and Andy Brick, and all the folks that hopefully helped open our eyes a little bit more to the world of esports. And as I mentioned at the conclusion of this program, there will be a best practice forum in the South American room at 9:15 in just a few minutes, where these and other esports experts will be on hand to meet with mayors one-on-one to help you think about how you might integrate this into your community. So we have now reached the conclusion of our morning breakfast plenary. We will have a short break here. We're going to reset the stage, and in just about 6 or 7 minutes, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot will moderate a discussion on preventing, preparing for, and responding to mass shootings, featuring information and advice from mayors whose cities have experienced mass shootings in the past. As I shared with you, I believe yesterday or maybe Wednesday, this is unfortunately a full panel because of the experiences we've seen across our nation, and it's going to be something you aren't going to want to miss. So at this moment, we are adjourned, and we will reconvene in about 5 or 6 minutes to continue our program. Thank you.